welcome back to Blackpack Homestead. Today's video we're going to begin incubating our own eggs. These are eggs laid by our quail in our backyard, in the tractor, and I believe we've got about 56 minus 4. Okay, we've got 52 eggs because I had 4 that floated when I did the float test. So I'm so excited to incubate our own eggs for the very, very first time. So what I've done so far is I've done the lister. I've been collecting eggs for about 6-7 days. And I've been tilting them, once a day to keep them viable. So the one step that I did not do, that I rewatched a video this morning by Slightly Rednecked. If you don't watch his channel, check it out. He has a wealth of quail information, a wealth of rabbit information. So I rewatched his incubating videos. He has a couple. And I realized that I should have put these eggs in a cooler and kept them around 55. But luckily, it didn't really get over 75 very often in the house. So as long as you're between 55 and 75 degrees, your eggs should still be viable. So I was like, So next time, note to self, I will grab the ice chest out and my ice packs and stuff and tilt them inside the ice chest. So, but the float test went fairly well. Like I said, I only got 4 that did not sink to my satisfaction. So, but before I did the float test, I have in this simple spray bottle a 50-50 mix of regular Listerine, and I of course sprayed the eggs down. I think Chris might have washed a couple of them because I've been wiping the poo off with a dry towel and then spraying them and letting them air dry. So, but they all sank. So hopefully we didn't, screw up too bad. Learning curve to this because, we are first-time quail owners. So now I've got a few more eggs that I have in the water to sink. If I could speak, I am so thirsty this morning. Doing the sink test to see if the eggs are still good. So I'm going to show you how that works. So I'm going to get a shot of my sinking bowl, or sinking water. Hang on. There we go. See my eggs down here? They're kind of wobbly because I just walked past them. But this guy over here, he looks like he's sunk really well. And I'm going to take him over here, put him on my towel, let him dry. This one looks a little tippy, looks like it's tipping up on that end. That one seems to have sunk very well. That one's good. That one's a little tippy, but it's not terrible. So we're going to take all of these guys out because they're not terribly tippy. That one's just a little. Let me show you what I meant by it floating. These aren't bad, like floating badly, but do you see how that one stands up? If you can appreciate that. Like if you look at those 2 eggs, that one is really flat and this one is tipping up on its end, see? And one of the things you can do to make sure your egg is viable is, hang tight, is let the egg rehydrate, because in the process of sitting, waiting for you to have enough eggs to incubate, they get dehydrated. So I let the eggs sit for a minute, if they were at all tippy, and you'd see tiny little bubbles come out, and the egg rehydrated and finished on sinking down. When I say tippy, they're just sitting like that. I didn't have any that floated straight up, but just a couple that were tippy. So we just took those out, just 4, so that's not bad. So let me grab these other guys out. They all look to be viable. So we'll let these eggs air dry. and we'll put them in the incubator. I've got my incubator set up here on this stack of boxes because I'm lazy and don't want to clean off the chest behind me, because where am I going to put that stuff? And so that's what I did. It's plugged up. I've got a second thermometer in it because our thermometer that is, you know, attached to the incubator doesn't lay down where the eggs are. It's like really short. So we use a second thermometer, but this time, thank you Lord, we have a digital thermometer with a probe instead of that regular. It's not really mercury anymore, but the mercury thermometer. So I've had this thing running a couple hours. I know I should have set it up yesterday, but you know, life happens. Yeah, a little bit of a slacker. And so I'm going to start putting these in, and then I'll be back with you once I've got most of them in. Okay, we've got our eggs in the incubator, and they're in nice, neat, straight little lines right now, but when I turn them for the first time, they will no longer be in those straight lines because we don't have an egg turner, and so we turn them by hand. The reason I don't mark one side is I found that these eggs kind of have a mind of their own. We did that on our first hatch, and it is impossible to get them to stay on the side you want them to. So I just group them together and lay my hands on the egg, lay one hand on the egg and roll 1/4 of them, and then hold them in that position, then roll the next quarter, so on and so forth, 4 quadrants of the incubator. So that's how we turn our eggs, and I'll be doing that every 4 to 6 hours for 14 days. Because at 14 days, they go into lockdown, which means you do not open that incubator for any reason. That's why they put the ports, this little black spot right here, if I can find it, the little black spot, that little thing pops out and you can put water in it that way. So it takes 17 days to hatch quail eggs, and you need to have your incubator around 99.9 degrees, and your humidity isn't that big of a concern until you're ready to hatch. But I try to keep my humidity like around 60, 65. I mean, sometimes it goes up to 70 just because we live in the mountains of North Carolina in a humid environment. So as long as there is humidity, you know, above, I'd say 65%, but not really over 80, you'll be fine in your first 14 days. Then when you go into lockdown on that 14th day, then you want to raise that humidity up to minimum 70%, which means filling up both wells in the bottom of the incubator if you have this kind. It's very similar to a little giant. It's called a digital still air incubator. That's all it's called. It came from our local Southern States. It's a feed store. So I don't really know what its brand is, but it's very similar to a little giant still air incubator. So we do have a second thermometer on the inside to measure the temperature because our thermometer that is attached to the incubator is rather short and it measures the temperature too high. If I had an egg turner in it, it may be perfect, but with no egg turner, I like to use a secondary thermometer on the egg level, and this time we have a handy dandy digital instead of that regular old-timey thermometer we've been using. So now let's take a look at these eggs in the incubator. And there they are, 52 baby quail eggs. 52 quail eggs. So awesome. See, because I opened the incubator, we're still not up to temperature yet. Let me turn that to where it's readable on your device. See, because I opened it, we're on 94.5, but it will be fine. It'll come back up. And see, this thermometer says 81 in the bottom. And see, so that's why I want a thermometer in the bottom, so I'm measuring the temperature where the eggs are. So one day maybe we'll fix that, and I know you can get like a longer wire to lay down in the bottom, but we haven't done that yet, and this works okay. And since we're hand turning, it's not that hard to keep track of it. Alright, if you have any questions about incubating quail or raising quail, comment down below. We'll be happy to share our knowledge with you. We'll be happy to do a video on it. If you have anything you would like to see more of, comment down below. We would love to know what you would like to see. If you'd like to see more of the garden, more of the rabbits, more about the quail, more about our brand new chickens, Crowbar and Lattice and the 2 chicks. We'll be happy to do that. So that's it. That's how we incubate our egg. Thanks for joining us here on our journey to hatch some quail. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you here next time on the Black Pack Homestead. God bless, and bye-bye.